Hey, it's Jazzy Jada here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a bun. As always, all the materials I use in this video will be in the description box below. So let's get started with the tutorial. Also, I forgot to mention that I use an image from Pinterest, and that image will pop up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. And that leads us to step number 1, which is finding a reference photo. A reference photo can help you get the proportions right and help you with your drawing, pretty much. For me personally, I cannot draw without a reference photo because I don't know what certain things look like. Of course, I know what from my head, but it's difficult for me. So step number 2 is to draw an outline, and an outline helps you figure out where everything goes. So obviously you're going to start off with drawing the head first, and I already done one off camera as you can see. And I struggle with the face a lot, that's why I didn't record it because it took up a lot of space on my phone. And the face looks a little weird because I'm having art block right now, and I just hate art blocks so much. So when you're drawing the hair, make sure it's 2 inches or 1 inch away from the head so it won't look flat, and you want the hair to have like a lot of volume or it won't look realistic. In my style, which I really haven't developed yet, but my style is coming together, I like to emphasize and exaggerate everything when I'm drawing just to make it more cartoony, even though I have a realistic style and a cartoon style mixed together. So basically this is the process of me sketching everything out and getting the proportions correct. So step 3 is adding sections to the hair. Not all buns have sections, but difficult ones like this one has different sections in the hair. By sections, I mean different pieces leading up to the bun, like, pulling up back to the bun. And the bun also has different sections because it's like a messy bun. If you're drawing a bun like a ballerina bun, which I'll show on the screen, that bun doesn't really have a lot of sections, so you can skip this part. I'll also be putting the timing to each section in the description box below as well. I also added and subtracted some pieces that weren't in the photo to make it look more personalized and realistic. It's not that the photo doesn't look realistic, it just looks weird when there's spaces in the bun and stuff like that, but it looked weird to me. So before I start adding strands of hair, I just like to lightly color the hair so the paper isn't, I don't know, it just looks weird when the paper is white underneath. I just like to have it like a little gray tone to add midtones and stuff. I don't like it to be like white, I don't know. But direction is the main and important part to this whole piece, pretty much, besides adding shadows and highlights and midtones, which I'll get later into the video. In the past, I always struggled with the directions of the hair. I would just like fling lines everywhere in any kind of direction. And my hair wasn't really realistic looking like I wanted it to be. It was like cartoony. So when drawing the hair, you want to use flicky motions, and you want them to be quick flicky motions. And I'll show like me showing you that about do's and don'ts side. I don't know when it comes up, but you'll see. I used to struggle using the flicky motions in the past, and I recommend practicing on a sheet of paper, which I didn't do. I don't know why, I just didn't. But I learned this method over the past year or two, I don't know. Also, when you're drawing like the flicky motions, I don't know what to call them, so I just call them flicky motions. Make sure you go to thick to thin so it looks realistic, and when you go thick, it'll look like there's shadows, and you go thin, it'll look like they're highlights. So whether the hair is straight, curly, wavy, in a bun, or in braids, there are always going to be different directions, and I think I struggle with this the most with curly hair because curly hair could be tight curls or loose curls, which is the most difficult hair to draw for me. Once you get the hang of drawing hair, it's pretty easy. You just
This is a Chucky Beat production.
Gotta practice, like anything else. So if you go with the flow of the hair and keep going the direction of the hair is flowing, then your picture will turn out pretty good. Building and adding midtones, highlights, and shadows is the key to making your drawing look really good. These highlights and shadows make the hair look really realistic and also really good. But if you're not into the realistic style, don't worry, it'll still look good, but just remember just to have like the basic shadows, highlights, and midtones. You don't have to have the extra details that I'm doing. For really cartooning character styles, you don't have to add strands, you can just shade it in and it'll still look good. So before even adding highlights and shadows, you need to find out where the lighting is coming from. What I like to do is I like to draw an arrow where the lighting is coming from. I did it here, but I did it lightly, so you can't really see it that much. I should have did it darker. But anyway, the highlight is coming, the sun is coming from the right corner, the top right corner. This was also one of my struggles in the past as well. For the shadows and the highlights, I use different kinds of pencils. So for the shadows, I use B pencils, and for the highlights, I use H pencils. Or for the highlights, I just like to leave them blank as well. So midtones is like the color area between the shadows and the highlights, and I'll show a picture on the screen somewhere so you know what I'm talking about. So midtones is what makes the hair all come together. Also, for adding shadows, I like to use a black pencil, and I prefer the Crayola name brand because they're harder than the wax base like Prismacolor, and I can sharpen them to a fine point without them breaking, and it's just easier. I learned this tip from another YouTuber. I can't remember the name. Anyway, the black pencil really helps with the shadows. So for the highlights, I like to take a white charcoal pencil, and yeah, that just makes it pop and look good. Even though I start shading it, it still looks good. If you don't have this, you can probably use a Prismacolor white pencil. I wouldn't suggest the Crayola ones because they're not that pigmented, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. So when you're done with the piece, you can add baby hairs and flyaways if you want. I didn't really add that, so I thought it wasn't important to put it in the steps if it wasn't really what I was going to add, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it depends on what you're going for, what look you're going for. You can add baby hairs and flyaways. So I think that wraps up today's video with how to draw a bun. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope it helped you, or if you just enjoyed watching drawing videos. I would like to do more tutorials, art challenges, and mixed like drawings and speed paintings. I'll mix up all that stuff in the future. I mostly do speed paintings when I'm lazy and I don't feel like doing voiceovers. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!